Hey everybody, I want to wisdom here. Long time no pool table, and also long time no...
The guy that used to be in all his videos.
That's right, this is a pretty special one now. True story, I've been working a lot, that's why I haven't really had time to do much on YouTube. And I was one of the lucky ones. I was able to pre-order an Xbox Series X. And of course, release date would be Tuesday, November 10th. Been looking forward to it. But with the time change, you leave work and you drive home into what? That's right, the black abyss of the night. Always lovely to leave work and get to enjoy driving home in pitch black darkness. And as fate would have it, last night got in around 7:30 and went out to actually check the mail, and I decided to go by way of the front porch. And I'm glad I did, because despite nearly falling over this, Xbox Series X was there. Totally unexpected. I had no idea this thing was coming in. And I honestly, when I saw it was from the retailer, which I'm not sure I should name, I thought it was going to be like applesauce and foil, which I was actually pretty excited about. But then, of course, I opened the box, and it is, in fact, the Xbox Series X. So, not quite sure how you botch a console release date like this, but I am certainly not going to complain, nor is...
The guy that used to be in all his videos.
That is correct. So, the big thing here, you've probably seen, like the ambassadors and all the flagship people unbox these things and go over the tech specs and compare it with console X, Y, and Z. For us, it's pretty simple. My nephew and I, a couple years back, we both sort of graduated to the PC Master Race. If you had to pick one platform to play on, what would you pick? Or does it depend on the game?
I would probably pick the Xbox, because I have an Xbox, so I would already have all my games and everything.
Right.
And I could just transfer like Madden and 2K over.
And see, that's kind of where you run into issues, is people say like, well, if you're PC, you don't even need the Xbox. And while that rings true more so now than ever with the Game Pass, as someone who's grown up, with the NES, with the Genesis, with the SNES, with this, everything, Sega, PS2, Xbox One, all the whole lineage there. I'm the type of guy who grew up with a controller in my hands, but at the same time, keyboard and mouse work great. What I run into is there are certain games where you prefer the inputs from a keyboard and a mouse or from a controller. Wouldn't you agree with that? Mm-hmm. Like, we played a lot of Xbox. Like, we started Minecraft with, what did they call the free version on the iPad?
Was
Do you
it
even remember?
Pocket Edition?
Yeah, I feel like there is the trial version of that. But yeah, basically Pocket Edition. Having played Pocket Edition, stepping up to the paid version, then getting the console, and then playing on PC, what is your preferred means of playing Minecraft?
Definitely the PC.
And that's exactly the realm I fall into. Similarly, though, games that I'm accustomed to playing with a controller, even though, you could technically play it on the PC or whatever, games like Madden and 2K and Forza, I still prefer that console experience. Now, granted, you can go with different means of getting the end result, especially with everything being digital these days. But the Xbox Series X. Now, your big thing, you've got the X and you've got the S. The X is going to be what color?
Green?
No. The console itself.
Oh, black.
Correct. And the other one, the S, is going to be what color?
White.
Correct. So for everyone needing this broke down in layman's terms, black is the X. It's going to run you $4.99. The S is what color?
White.
And it's going to run $2.99.
Yeah.
So you've got $200 price difference, and your first thing is like, well, that's stupid. White's a just fine color, and if I want it black, I can put a skin on it. That's not quite what you want to do. Okay, when you look at this, you've got to think of the tech specs, right? So let's just go ahead and check them out. The big thing here, before we jump into all this super nerd information, for the average person, you're going to have two questions to dictate what you want from this generation of Xbox consoles. If you're coming from PlayStation, if this is for your child that's, been on your mobile device and an iPad, and you do not have a library of games built up on the Xbox, would they want to go with the $500 option that plays physical disc drives, or would they be better off with the white S for $2.99 and do everything digitally?
They'd probably be better off with the white one.
That's correct, and that's sort of where you have stopping point one. If you're new to Xbox, whether you've been with PlayStation for a while, you want to switch back, there's a game, first party stuff that catches your eye. A lot of people bounce around console to console. If you don't have an existing backlog of games, or if what you do have is digital, consider saving the money. For my nephew and I, we both have a big backlog of physical games. So if we ever, for whatever reason, decide to go play Madden 17 because the current one sucks, we can't do that if we go with the S. So that's selling point one. Selling point two is quite simply storage. Do you remember the specs for this one or the S? All right, so 1 terabyte here. Now, 1 terabyte sounds like a lot. It used to be a lot. It's not really that much anymore, especially if all you're doing is AAA games, right? Third-party releases. Your Grand Theft Autos, your what? Madden.
And 2K.
Exactly. If that's kind of your cup of tea, if it's, any big major third-party installment, the 512 gigs on the Xbox S is going to just be eaten up super fast. They do have something, I'm not sure that I've explained this to you, but there is an expansion port on the back. And that is going to be for 1 terabyte of additional storage. It's going to cost, my nephew here is standing up, he might need to sit down. It's going to cost $219. Yeah,
I just sat down.
He just fell down. That's a pretty shocking price. You're probably thinking, I had an Xbox 360, or I have my Xbox One, or my One X, or One S, or whatever. You're accustomed to just plugging in your external hard drive and going to town, fill it up out of space, Christmas, or, early in the year. Get an external hard drive, you're golden. You can still do that, but big selling point of that card is that it maintains the speed, the pass-through, if you will, of the internal SSD, and that's one of the huge selling points here. When we have an SSD, we get what? Much better load times.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So on the PS2, right? Back in the day, playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City, if this white line is between, missions, sometimes you've got time to run, grab some chips, wash your hands of the nacho cheese, go to the bathroom, wash your hands again, get a drink, come upstairs, and still wait for the game to load the next scene.
It's always the 99th to 100th that's the hardest.
Exactly. And so a big selling point with these two new consoles in this next gen is they finally switched over to SSD, something you've done in PC for years. And what that equates to the average person is simply faster load times. So we've got the faster load times, we've got the physical disk here, and this is essentially double the storage space. So if that's a big thing to you and you think, well, the $200, I do have a couple of old games I still play or would like to revisit, and you want double the storage space, essentially think of this as the Xbox Series S plus the optical drive for $100 plus double the storage for $100, which when you do the math on that terabyte expansion slot, it's pretty pricey. My personal hope is that those prices come down. Now, right here, I want you to just come in and read this off for me. What's the first selling point here with the motherboard?
4K gaming.
That is correct. And it'll go up to 120. Now, keep in mind, a lot of this is going to be hinging upon the developer, what they want to do. Right here, this is another thing. It's capable of what?
8K dynamic range.
That's correct. Now, just because it's capable of that doesn't necessarily mean that the developer is going to put in the resources, the time, and the extra, manpower to make that happen, but it is capable of it. Now, something a lot of people gloss over is the
Xbox Velocity architecture.
And that is essentially everything we sort of described as an advantage rolled out into your computer specs, if you will. Now, the big selling point here, again, for load times will be
1 terabyte drive.
That is correct. Solid state drive, that's critical. If you've used a solid state drive, you never want to go back to a traditional spin around hard drive again because the load times and the efficiencies are off the charts. Up next is VRR, which is
variable refresh rate.
Correct. And then after that, if you do this sort of a thing, if you're, not Netflix or whatever, what do we have there?
4K Blu-ray.
True story. I have never in my life owned a Blu-ray disc. Have you?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't really do much in terms of movies, so none of that means much to me, but what does matter to me is having the disc drive, because yes, I have a library of games which I would like to play from time to time. Now, this is what we will call side 2 of the box, right? So the front cover, you gotta look at that. This would be your top tower if you have it in tower configuration, the black monolith, whatever you want to call it. That is not illuminated. That's actually black on green molded plastic, which does what? Gives the effect that it
looks cool.
Exactly. It looks cool. It looks illuminated. Kind of a neat selling point. You do have the option of running the console on its side. Side 3, we've got simple, we've got the tower, we've got the classic logo, you've got the size of the hard drive, you've got the controller, which is updated, and honestly one of the things I am most excited about. The back, this is a point of contention for many, at least in this household. Now, I don't really mind it. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's Halo, it's kind of their flagship franchise, power your dreams, exploring a new world, all that vibe. The other people we've shown this to have vehemently hated this. One of these people actually has a marketing degree, and I think their point of contention, like, this is sleek and modern. The whole box, you've got the black. If you pay close attention, you've got the felt of the pool table, but you'll note the Xbox screen right there on all 4 sides. It's just a good, sleek, modern look. And then this is sort of something more akin to like you would expect with a Nintendo Wii, And then the other, from the non-marketing major that we got feedback from, it was objectionable, but their point was like, why just show that? Why not show other games? And so, picture Halo Man, Forza, Minecraft would be a good selling point. Kind of something that spans all ages, catches people's eyes, lets them know like, oh, hey, that's right, they do have Minecraft. Or, oh, yeah, great, I can do first-person shooters and racing. But for me, frankly, what do I care about? What's in the box, and that's what we're going to get to right now. Now, I'm going to ask my nephew's professional opinion here, because he watches more clickbaity traditional YouTube videos than my old school self. Should we show ourselves opening the box, or should we just cut and come back to the box being open?
Well, I think we have to go in there and make a very exaggerated face about it.
Oh, face reveal time?
Yeah, I mean, you have to make sure you have at least 5 red arrows.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta, get your thumbnail guy to, be like, we got an Xbox?
Broken street date? PlayStation is trash? And now that's something else. I think we may actually do that, but the PlayStation, we don't really have anything against PlayStation. It's just for us, we're in the Xbox ecosystem. We both also do PC games. For me, and I believe my nephew, there's not an exclusive title to PlayStation that I say, well, I gotta get the console for that. For my nephew, your big thing is what?
Just 2K and Madden.
2K and Madden. 2K and Madden, we can do that on either console. For me, I enjoy playing 2K and Madden as well. I'll play with him. The thing also that I really like in terms of console-specific releases, it isn't some 8 or 16-bit indie title on Steam for sub $7, is Forza. I played Gran Turismo on the PlayStation 2. I played Forza. I just like Forza better. It's worth it to me to stay in the Xbox ecosystem for Forza. So if you're like my nephew, it's truly a crapshoot. Now, if he was just bent on having the Spider-Man game, which I still don't understand why that's a console exclusive for PlayStation. Seems completely idiotic, because I think there's a lot of people on PC, Xbox, and Nintendo that would like to play those games too. Factor that in. But for us, this is where it stands. And again, for everyone shopping, I've been having a friend text me today. Her daughter has come out wanting an Xbox Series S. And one thing I will give Nintendo is they typically have a unique console title. The thing I will give PlayStation is the simplicity. If you know that your child or your grandkid or your niece or your nephew or your husband or your wife wants the new PlayStation, all you have to remember is a number, right? PS2, I've got one sitting over here. If we wanted to upgrade to the PS4 because it's on sale, we can do that. If we come in and we tell the guy at GameStop, hey, I need the newest PlayStation, it's like, well, that'll be the 5, and it's coming out in a couple of days. We're like, yeah, that's the one. With Xbox, it is super easy, and I'm sure this is going to happen at Christmases across the country if people can actually, afford to get things and pick them up and gift people items. Series X seems simple enough, but we've got the Xbox One. We've got the Xbox One S. We've got the Xbox One S. Does that kind of, you see where I'm coming from there? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like if he wanted the brand new PlayStation, it's PS5, right? Mm-hmm. You're golden. I'm not going to screw it up and get you the 3. With the Xbox, especially the way people are like scalping these items and marketing them and everything, it's super manipulative, super deceptive. I don't think Microsoft intends that. But at some point in time, I would like to see it just develop into a more simplistic numbering system or something that's super unique. Like call this the monolith or the block. Just do something to better designate it, because you've got to realize if you're not into this stuff, if you're just casually into it, or you happen to be the parent of a kid that wants one, there's a really good chance that you inadvertently break someone's heart for a Christmas present or a birthday, and that's a terrible position.
Yeah. Like you could think that you get the 360 because it has the highest number, and then it turns out that's 2 Xboxes ago.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's one of those type of a things where you could very, very easily screw this up. So, speaking of screw up, I should have been working on opening this while we talked, and instead of trashing the box, we'll be right back with an open product. 2 pieces. There were 2 pieces of tape I didn't see. And that would have greatly simplified things. So pretty slick kind of a clamshell design here, right? So this was the bottom side that you didn't see. Okay, so this is sort of what you've come to expect when you get computer parts. A expensive brand new.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so like if you go out and you get like the flagship latest and greatest from Apple or Samsung, or other brands for that matter, you get a really killer presentation here. And that's what we've got. So this, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of if we were opening a present type of a deal. It's super heavy foam construction. You can kind of see it back here, little clamshell down. And then right here, it nestles the console really nice. Now, something I can already tell that I had determined last night when I cut into the box that I thought was applesauce and foil and turned out to be a console, which is still one of the most disappointing moments of my time on this earth. This is significantly smaller than it looks like. Like, I realize it's going to be the Xbox Series S, which that's your $299 option one. That is the smallest Xbox ever. This is a lot smaller. Like, okay, you've seen the pictures, right?
Yeah.
You've seen people's videos from months ago and they had like hollow cores and everything. Does this seem to be the size you would expect, or does it seem smaller to you too?
It seems like you would expect something bigger. Yeah,
the outside box from the retailer, which I shall not name, which was not Amazon because they screw everything up in terms of video games for me. I have still not forgiven them for botching Mario Kart 8. And subsequently, I've never bought another video game from the nuts, so screw you, Amazon. But back to this. It's just so much smaller. Like, there's my hand for comparison. There is right over here. Super Mario Odyssey Switch case, doing well. I mean, it's roughly the size of the Switch case. I think the exact dimensions, we'd need to go metric. We're not going to do that. You can do that in school. But 12 by 6 by 6, I believe, is roughly where this would come in. So, but does that kind of look professionally packed to you? Sort of like, wow. Yeah. That was worth the money that we just spent.
They have the power of your dreams like they had on the back.
That, to their credit, was a nice tie-in. Whether that will flip the mind of our marketing major here in-house, I don't know. But let's go ahead and get to the good stuff here. Alright, so this is actually a little heavier than I thought it would be. But you can kind of see the foam nestled in. Looks like we have got our quick start guide, which doubles as a door hanger. That's right. Keep out, do not disturb. So I'm going to let you step in front and kind of read this off to people while I open this up.
All right. Okay, so it looks like the first step is to connect the power cord and the HDMI to the console.
Are you sure? We want to power this on before we put a game disc in?
That's what it says.
It's more confusing than a Pop-Tart.
And then you want to download or go to the Xbox app and then tap Set up a console or search for Setup and enter the code shown on your TV screen. And then after you've done that, you want to follow the steps in the Xbox app to finish setting up your console.
That's it.
Yep.
That's pretty simple. Something else pretty simple is the glorious little design of our favorite little console. So again, pretty heavy. You know, you used to hear the term brick. So this is kind of like a brick. So just it's smaller than I thought, but it's also heavier than I thought it would be, which I'm not going to complain. Pack everything into a smaller footprint, right? So this is sideways for a lot of people. This is how a lot of people are going to want to run it. It's like a treasure chest. You know, it's got your library of games in it, right? Flipping it up to this side, you got the Xbox marker there. We've got obviously our what?
That's the disc.
Correct. This is the selling point for many people. This is why a lot of you will wind up going this route as opposed to the S. Got the power button over here. If you note on this side, which could technically be considered the bottom, we've got our little feet, which of course that's going to raise it up. We've got, I guess, the sync button here and USB, I believe, 3.2. On this side, which is not the cool side that you're excited about, we've simply got
Make 'em
the
wait.
base. Exactly, that's what we're doing, man. We just got the base plate. That's a nice soft rubber, won't mar the finish on your furniture, because of course the way Xbox themselves have advertised this bad boy is standing like that. Now you can't see it, you just see a couple of holes like a Connect 4 board up here, but my nephew and I, from our vantage point, we see the cool stuff. So what is your first impression of this in person?
I like it.
I do too, and I'm gonna do you a solid and tilt this down so you can kind of see the green. It's very discreet on the camera, but in person it really does pop. And I gotta say, it's pretty cool. Now, as we mentioned, this does not actually illuminate, but you can see right there, it's essentially like we've got a two-sided board, black and green, and so it adds a lot of depth and character to it. So off the top of your head, barring any space constraints, are you going to run an Xbox One X, or I'm sorry, an Xbox Series X? So as I said, very easy to screw up. In this configuration or on its side?
I think it would look cooler like that.
I agree. I think this is how I will run this, is on its side. Now, quickly we're going to come in and we're going to go to the back. We've got basically two USB ports, Ethernet, that should be for our power. We've got the HDMI out. Looks like we've lost the HDMI in. But right there you can see the storage expansion. That is for that $220 card, which again, the selling point there, that's ridiculous for the space, but it will actually give us access to other things. Now, coming up here, you can kind of see what we're working with in the back. So, slide her out. We have got a power cable, or an HDMI cable, I should say. We've got the long instructions. Ain't nobody got time for that. We have the power cord, which, you notice anything missing? It's the power brick, so I'm hoping there's not one in here. And over here, this is what I want to spend the last bit of time with, because I am super excited about it. And there's
is that the applesauce?
Where's the foil? No, yeah. This is, of course, the what?
Controller.
That is correct. And for everyone at home, if you love the Xbox controller, and you got your batteries falling on your toes, oh, buddy, I'm telling you. This is what I was the most excited about. I believe the S, doesn't it come with a white controller?
Probably.
I think at launch, if you were to come in and like add a controller, so you got, you know, buddy can come play with you and you didn't have existing controllers, black, white, and blue, I think, are going to be launched. The Xbox Design Lab, which I personally love, is coming back. Can you run over there and grab that blue on blue? This is a big deal for me. A lot of people don't spend time on this. This is my current controller. The one I customized in the Design Lab lost the analog stick. This analog stick is doing okay so far. But that's what I do. I kill analog sticks. I've told you about it. This one, you're going to notice a couple of changes here. Obviously, ignore the color. But what can you tell me looks different on the front of this controller?
Well, this part's like kind of caved in,
Right.
and this part it isn't.
That is true. I hadn't actually paid attention to that. What else do you notice?
I think this one's smaller, isn't it?
It actually it feels smaller for some reason.
Oh, there's this button too.
That is correct. This is huge. I do this all the time when my nephew and I play. I hit this button and I go to capture and I just save the last 15 seconds. This is basically eliminating me pressing that, going over and toggling my option. I don't remember exactly how it pans out. I think one quick press is screenshots. I think a longer hold might be record a clip. I don't really know how that's going to function yet because I haven't messed with it. And then I think you can do something else, maybe hold it longer and go to the gallery. Don't hold me to all that, but there's finally a button for it now. There's one more glaring difference between these two on the front here. Do you see it? I'm not sure if you can see it very well because I'm holding it. Hint, it's in this area. The D-pad. See anything there?
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, so again,
like kind of caved
super subtle, especially if you haven't like researched or watched anything. But see how this is like, you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. You got left, right, up, and down.
Oh, so you can like hit these?
Yeah, with the new controller, you've actually got that ability. It makes your D-pad more like an analog stick, right? The other thing, if we come up here, this is pretty cool in my opinion. You got your sync button in the same spot, your port, everything like that, the Xbox logo, battery compartment. You probably can't tell with the buttons. I want you to hold this and hit my trigger button. Okay. Now I want you to try to hold it on camera. First off, first impressions of holding it. Like hold it normal, like you'd play. Does it feel good?
Yeah, I think it feels smaller, like you said.
Yeah. Now, do you notice any difference on the triggers themselves?
It's like, I think they go down better. Maybe.
Right. Physically, though, do you notice anything? Like, I want you to run your finger across the left trigger. Is that pretty smooth?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot smoother.
And now feel that one. The new one.
Yeah, it's like smoother. Like this part kind of comes up a little bit.
Yep.
And it doesn't really do that as much on these.
And the big thing, which this is my favorite controller ever with this Xbox, there's a very subtle texture here on the back. Now show them the back of the new one. Again, since it's black, it's sort of hard to tell. The texture, it's almost like knurling on a barbell. You love it or you hate it. But if you pay attention here on the triggers, they are actually textured now, which is super cool. Like, you kind of have this carbon finish on it, but it feels good in hand. It feels small. I know lighter is in part because the batteries are out, but it really does sort of feel smaller.
Yeah.
And I think the approach they took with this is not a total redesign. It's, hey, this is a pretty good controller. People like it. There aren't many complaints. Let's try to subtly improve it, and I think they've done that. So again, there will be, of course, colors coming soon, I'm sure. Xbox has always, in my opinion, done the best job with controllers. I've said for years, if Nintendo offered custom Wiimotes or nunchucks that people could totally customize, I'm not talking about their good selection of like specialty licensed ones. But if you wanted to come in and make green and yellow, and I wanted to do black and blue and pick the button colors, people would have paid for that. And that's what the Design Lab allows you to do. So I'm excited for that to come back now. Being the nerd that I am, I've kind of opened this up and check this out. See what we've got. So it's a little smaller text than I remember. But you'll see Xbox wireless controller. You ready for the Easter egg, my friend? Can you read that from where you're standing? He's off to the side. It's right underneath Xbox. I know it's blurry on the camera.
Wireless controller?
Oh, no. Underneath it. I'm going to slide it over here so you can read it.
Hello from Seattle?
That's right. So the Easter egg is intact. I hadn't seen anybody cover that. But
I couldn't read that from far away.
I know it's blurry on the camera, then I've got him standing off to the side. But if you can see right there, this is I would say fairly known, but I think it's kind of fallen out of favor. A lot of people actually aren't aware of it, but hello from Seattle. So nothing major, nothing, make or break, but cool. So the controller, I actually really like it. I'll be excited to use it. Hopefully the analog sticks last better. That's my biggest break point every year. Yeah. But the D-pad, how do you feel about the change there? Do you like that or prefer the old style?
I think it's pretty cool addition.
Yeah, I don't have any objection to it. Of course, we'll have to play with it, see if, oh, well, this was so much better. But I think it'll open up some options for developers, kind of having that in-between ground, if you will.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, though. This appears to be what you get when you open up the Xbox Series X. So $499 versus $299. I went this route because A, the storage is actually worth it to me, and B, and most importantly in my case, we've got that. Now, the things we haven't even hit on is the whole back end of tech specs. This is a more powerful console. It's got more capabilities than the S. It's also 4K gaming as opposed to maybe capping out at 1440. Truth of the matter is a lot of people don't go out and buy brand new TVs. You're running with something older. If you're content with 1080 or 1440, that's great. If you have to have the latest and greatest and you constantly upgrade your TV for no reason, just to have that, this technically has better specs. It will please you as sort of like an audiophile type of a thing. What you have works fine. Could you make it better? Yeah. And so, but I think for most people, the selling points are going to be optical drive, storage is built in, and past that, everything is a perk. Now, there will be a few of you, the upper echelon, the people, which really at that point, you're probably a PC gamer, in my opinion. So it sort of becomes moot. So for the average consumer, optical drive, extra storage, well worth it in my opinion. But I think, are we going to plug this thing in and see if we can do anything?
Yeah, let's see.
I think that's what we're going to do. So stay tuned for more of these videos. Again, people have unboxed this. They've issued the tech specs to death ever since they've been available. This is just our thoughts on the packaging, the box, what it has, what you probably need to know as an average consumer, or even as like a younger viewer to relay to your parents, like make sure you get the Series X and the Series S. The white one, it's going to have a giant like vent. That's something that I probably ought to tell you. Where this has like our vent here at the top, the Series S is going to have a giant vent right here. That's important because if you see that on the packaging, you know you've got the right one. So be leery, people are scalping these, but for all intents and purposes, we've got this ready. We can jump into the next gen with our, actually maxed out the card there, but as I was trying to say, we're ready to jump into the next gen stuff. We'll be ready for future releases from Xbox. Again, there's just certain games that I and my nephew both prefer on console. So similarly, there's a lot that I prefer on PC, and I would never want to play on console. But this is sort of the best of both worlds. You could kind of get by without a console this generation, particularly Xbox if you really wanted to. Game Pass, they're doing some pretty crazy stuff with that. It includes gold. You can lease Xbox and that. It's all kinds of crazy stuff. But for now, I'm going to stick with this. It gives me access to the previous library of physical games. I'm hoping that this optical drive works a little better because one of the biggest knocks I have on the Xbox Series X over there is what? The disc. You go in and my nephew and me are playing Madden. It's like, oh, let's play 2K. And you have to put the disc in to read the license, and it doesn't read the stupid disc. That's one of the most frustrating things about the Xbox in the previous generation of the Xbox One. So hopefully that's been improved here. Again, a lot of you, if you're digital, that's non-issue. For everyone else, I'm sure you can relate, and I feel for you. But we got that covered. Future releases, Forza, which I've tried to get my nephew to play Forza. He hadn't really jumped into it yet, but maybe like coming up in the future, there's Forza 8 or Horizon 5. Maybe some Need for Speeds or something like that. We'll kind of get into those. And again, I kind of prefer that with the controller, so I still associate controller with console personally. The other thing, Shotgun Farmers, if I decide to retrograde again, because I grew up playing it with PC, mouse and keyboard, hard to beat when that's what you're accustomed to. I can play Shotgun Farmers here. Most importantly, though, Skylander 7, am I right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're golden. So, your final thoughts on the Xbox Series X?
Well, I think my final thoughts are, what are you going to do without your applesauce?
I'm just going to patiently wait and see what happens. So, also, in the comments section, let us know, if you're an Xbox person, are you going with the Xbox Series S or the Series X, and why? Similarly, for those of you going with the Series X, are you going to have it oriented sideways like this, sort of a traditional console, or are you all about that monolithic tower? Let us know. Always interesting to kind of see where people fall on those fronts. What exclusive titles from Xbox are you looking to? And also of note, final point of conversation, if you're like my nephew and I, and there's certain games you prefer on console, certain games you prefer on PC, obviously I still keep Nintendo systems because of their first party titles on whatever their latest and greatest is. But where do you draw the line? What game do you prefer to play? Like, some of you might prefer Minecraft on a console because it's what you grew up with, and the keyboard and mouse might feel foreign and strange to you. For us, it's the opposite. But just like where I prefer to play Madden, 2K, and Forza on the console, some of you might differ. So let us know, what are your favorite games? Where do you draw the line? Is it anything particular? Is it just what you started with that kind of maintains your loyalty? Let us know. But as always, I do hope you've enjoyed. Again, back at the pool table and back with the guy that used to be in my videos all the time. So that's something special for you. We hope everybody's having a great time. Hope you had a great Halloween. Hopefully you're staying safe, enjoying yourself, having some fun playing some games. And we got Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, winter, the Super Bowl, the NBA draft, all kinds of crazy stuff coming up, right? So not as bad as people try to make things out to be. But I will quit rambling. As always, you can follow me on Twitter. I tend to tweet my latest videos. Sometimes I tweet when I go live, still streaming on Twitch when I have time, which is infrequent. And then, of course, you can follow me on Instagram, where I post absolutely nothing, and you can partake there. So do you want to tell people how to find you, if there is a way to find you?
My YouTube channel right now is called Billiam.
Billiam.
I don't know if I'll keep that or change it to something else.
All right, so he is kind of at the age where, you experiment with channels, different games and everything. So that's the current setup, is Billiam, for your convenience, because there are a couple of Billiams out there. A very popular name, Bill and William, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why it's not, we should have dignitaries and ambassadors with a name. But what I will do for your convenience, right there at the top, I'll have a link to Billiam's channel. And y'all can check it out, see what he's been up to over the years. If you get really bored, go back, check out our previous series. We've got MindLogic's computer era server stuff. We've got, what did we call it? Dual survival. Because I was doing solo survival on the Xbox with Minecraft. We got dual survival. We got really old Smash videos. We've got MindLogic. Yeah, I got cut off once more, but as I was saying, we got a lot of old content you can go back and relive, have some fun with that. But for one of Wisdom and Billiam, I guess we're signing out. Hope you all have a great weekend. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment, make sure to subscribe if you have not. Check out Billiam's channel, and I will give you the last word to incite the people with, poetic words of justice, or, intrinsic thoughts along those lines. Or just a really bad knock-knock joke. It's up to you.
Why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other chicken.
That actually makes more sense. Why would you go to the other side if there's not an incentive, right? There's incentive when you see your homeboy over there clucking up a storm. So, yeah, but Shotgun Farmers for Life, Skyliner 7. We'll get you back here for the next thrilling installment from the pool table. Adios.
Bye.
Moments after we turned off the camera button after that great joke, we realized something. We have in our possession a brand new console that's not been released. And, I don't get as much time as I'd like for YouTube anymore. My nephew's kind of strapped with school and homework and all that stuff. What would go viral and benefit us? What would allow us to do the greater good for the world? The answer is simple. Break this thing. We're gonna go smash it. We're gonna get the ladder, climb on the roof, throw it on the driveway, see how it shatters. Does the green and black separate when it's cracked? You don't know, because nobody's done that yet. Stay tuned, we've got much more coming your way with this Xbox Series X that's about to become fractured.
I'll get the hammer.